show up on this video. That's weird. Shows me even in a tree. No, it's
Go ask Mom where'd she put it. I think I should. Let me know when you're ready, guys. I'm walking around here.
so we see.
Carol, there's something wrong with that tree behind you. It never finishes budding out.
No, all of a sudden I lost. Yeah, I know. I was gonna switch it, but I don't know how. I'm amazed I got it this far.
Yeah, I had to get my son to help me get on my iPad.
All right, we've got recordings going. I think we're good. So if I can, I'll give real quick instructions and then I'll turn it over to you, Tom. So this is a virtual meeting of Newtown Township. And as we have in the past for all virtual meetings, we take public comment one of 4 ways. We either take public comment in the drop box, the blue drop box that's in front of the main entrance to the building. If you're coming in the library entrance at the front of the building, the blue drop box is at the bottom of the stairs off to the right-hand side. We also allow public comment through somebody raising their hand during the meeting, virtual raise their hand, or through the phone, you can virtually raise your hand. And again, it will take public comment at the appropriate time for that. And then finally, if you choose that one of those ways doesn't work for you, you can make public comment at publiccomment@newtowntownship.org, publiccomment@newtowntownship.org. I will tell you before the meeting, I did check the Dropbox. There was no public comment in the Dropbox. And so, Tom, I will turn it over to you.
All right, let's call to order and get started. Roll
6:30
call.
6:37.
We got Carol.
Amen.
6:37. Carol Wagner.
Yes,
Present.
ma'am. Or whatever.
Robert. Bob,
Here.
you there?
Yep.
John. John, you there?
I'm here.
Okay. Trish
I'm here.
and Nick. Nick, you're here. I see you.
Can you hear me?
Now we can.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Let's have a moment of silence. All right. Can we approve tonight's agenda? All in favor, say aye.
Actually, I have a couple of things that maybe we could just add. If we could.
Okay.
Could we get a follow-up on the issue that occurred at Walnut and College? There was a stop work order apparently issued for some cutting of trees on that parcel. And also a heritage tree designation that Carol helped with. We didn't add that to the agenda.
Okay, so I'm sorry, Trish, I was writing that down. So we're gonna, the issue at, where was that again?
Walnut and College. There was
College.
there was
Walnut and College.
reported violation apparently.
Right. And what was the second one again?
The heritage tree designation. Possible.
The first of our list.
Okay.
I'm not sure what the
Those
procedure
two
is,
items we can,
but we can talk about it, I guess.
okay, we can add those two to the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Say aye.
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 Okay. And can we approve the minutes? All in favor, say aye.
I'll make a motion to approve. I guess
I can't second because I wrote them.
Anybody else?
Actually, you can say,
John, Bob,
Oh,
you
I-
want to approve?
you can
I can
actually
approve
make the
too,
motion.
right? All right, I'll make the motion to approve.
Oh, goody.
Motion granted. All right. So then tonight's agenda, the first thing you want to talk about is the issue at Walnut and College. Trish, want to open up with that one?
Yeah, I guess I really have, I guess my question is to Steve. We saw some email traffic that went back and forth about someone had reported some cutting of trees that looked to adhere to the Shade Tree Ordinance. And I guess there was some follow-up from the township. And I was just wondering what the outcome was of that.
And I'm going to apologize, not knowing you're going to ask that question. I didn't follow up with Andy, but I will follow up and get you what the follow-up was, what we actually did. Typically, we put a stop work order, make them pull permit and do that. I hope the permit is on your agenda tonight to look at.
Yeah.
If not, I think you at least received it. So,
Yes.
we
We
will,
all, Nick sent it out to us.
we will, I'll get information on that one. I don't know it off the top of my head. Andy in the codes department would have handled it.
Yeah, and I guess what I'm really interested to hear is if there was any required remediation,
Okay.
and if that remediation would be coming before the tree board for approval.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what they were doing at that location, but let me find out and I will get back with you.
Okay,
We can table that.
If we'll just
Table
move
that
it
to
to
our-
old we'll just move it under old business and we'll discuss it
Okay.
next time because I'll make sure that we get the information. I'll probably send it to you, but we can discuss any questions that you have at the next meeting if that's okay.
that would be great. Thanks.
Got it. Okay, and then we want to talk about the heritage tree designation. That's the second item.
Sure. I had invited Carol out to my house or our house to measure a couple of trees that I thought were close, and then one that I thought I was pretty sure met the heritage tree designation. And I'll turn it over to Carol, and she can talk a little bit more about what we did and our results.
So I went out to Trish and Drew's, and the first tree that we looked at was a large white oak right on the about 1.5 feet off of the road on Gradyville Road.
Yep.
And it is definitely a heritage tree. It was 42 and a half, if I recall, it was 42 and a half inches in diameter. And we didn't have any others that were heritage trees, but we had some other large ones. She had some other large ones on campus on her grounds, and we walked the grounds and had a great time, soaked up a lot of fresh air. So so Trish gets number one. Where's my, oh, there, it's on that side. Okay. I guess the number one tree on our heritage tree list.
So I'm not sure exactly what the process is for reporting that, or how do we document it, or is that something we still need to figure out ourselves?
1 second.
Because we weren't sure if that needed to be officially recorded somewhere.
Yeah, so I think what we want to do, I think there's two things that I'd like to do. One is, we don't have anybody doing this right now, but a lot of times we'll use an intern to come out and do GPS coordinates. And so that we have an actual coordinate for the tree.
Okay.
And it's not 100%, but it gets us close enough for our purposes. And then we would document the tree type. I think you said it was a white oak. We would probably document at this point what the size was, understanding that the tree will continue to grow and probably get bigger over time. And so, but we would document as of this date what the size was. And then do that. I just was looking at I wanted to make sure under the definition, I think there was one other step we had to take, but I just want to check it real quick. I think that the one thing is if you're
It
wanting
doesn't
to,
show.
I think that one of the steps is that if you're choosing to have it designated that, we have to do something to recognize it. So I think I just have to look at that one piece.
Okay.
You have to put a big orange H on your tree.
Yeah, because we want to bring attention. You know, one of the
Steve,
things
so
that, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so it's just GPS coordinates and document the type and size, and what was the third thing?
I think
The
there's
third item
also,
there?
I think there is something that we probably need to do where the homeowner would sign off that they're making this a heritage. They're wanting this to be a heritage tree and they're reporting it that way, because if I recall, and I'm trying to find that section and I apologize, this ordinance is one I'm still trying to get my hands all the way around all the different pieces. I was looking for the designation piece, but I think there's a spot on designating that it needs to be, that the homeowner needs to acknowledge it. And so we'll probably have to have some kind of form that the homeowner would sign off on. And in this case, it would be.
It should be probably be placards.
Well, until that time, I'll have keeping, pictures and records of whatever tree that we do measure.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
And then when we get that formality figured out, then we can fill in the bits and pieces.
Yeah, one thing go ahead, I'm sorry.
What you're looking for is on page 14 of 19 under the removal or disturbance of a heritage tree, I think. Or maybe that's not.
No, it'd be the identification of one, right?
Yeah, this says what you're supposed to do if you want to take it out.
Yeah,
I don't want to
So
take.
why don't we do this? Why don't we take that old business too?
I'll just,
Give
we'll
Steve
make
time
it
to-
old business. It'll be something that we need to follow up on. I'll
Yep.
look at what the procedure needs to be. And if we need a form
Makes sense.
to do that, we'll do that. And then we'll take the pictures and is it in digital format?
Yes.
Okay, so we can take that digital format and tie it to the GPS and put it into our GPS system or that layer that we're going to create for this. And that way somebody can actually pull it up and see a picture of it. And so that's a nice feature to have.
Yeah, and I could take a one from to get the whole tree.
Uh-huh.
That would be good.
All right.
Yep, that would be great. And then, like I said, we'll follow up on that. Just go ahead and put it under old business for next time, and we'll get you set that way.
Sounds
All right. So do we go motion granted on that, Steve?
I don't know that there needs to be a
Or do we
motion at
move
this
to-
point. Let's get the formal documentation. We'll just keep it on the agenda
Okay.
as an action item so that we don't lose track of it.
Got it. Okay. So then we can move to the next topic,
Yep.
Hey, Rob,
which our next topic is.
Go ahead,
Go
Carol.
ahead, Carol.
Rob, is there anything that you've seen from like Springfield or anything about heritage trees and any
The
sort of
only, the
reform?
only one I really dealt with, there was a 300-year-old white oak that just fell down recently that was tagged by the township. I mean, we tried to save as long as we can. One of those big storms came through and just ripped it in half. I mean, it was hollow and stuff. We, tried to save it, but it just ended up coming over. But that one was actually tagged. They had a plaque on it. saying when it was from and, stuff like that. But otherwise, I think they should be just like Longwood tags them, if what species it is and whatever, like a little aluminum tag or something should be like put on the side of the tree, just so it's
Okay.
known. You know what I
All
mean?
right.
I don't know. Can you see?
Oh, yeah, you got it. Yeah, it shows.
Ooh, that's big.
Yeah. Well, I'm
40
kind of small too, but
That's still a big tree.
46 and a half inches.
yeah.
Big tree.
That's a big tree.
I figured I'd be a guinea pig. And it makes sense, right? A shade tree person to be the guinea pig for this first endeavor.
That's great. Actually, it is on page 14. I am looking at it. I'll look though. I think we probably should have some kind of form that we do with it, just so that there's some kind of documentation that goes along. Like what, street address on all of those kind of things, so we can tie it, even if we get the GPS coordinates.
Okay,
And then
Okay.
is there,
that works.
and then did the, and I guess I should just read it, but is there anything special then we would need that a homeowner would have to do if they had their tree designated, other than if you wanted to cut it down, you'd have to jump through extra hoops?
That's
Or
where,
if you want to prune it.
if you want to prune it, there's also some issues. Although as big as that tree is, my guess is you're not doing a lot of pruning.
Oh, no.
So that's not one you're climbing up very quickly. Wouldn't think.
Not as a homeowner. But you can cable it and remove the dead wood.
Yeah.
Okay, there's things you can do. All right, so we got that topic covered. We can move on.
Yep, we're good.
Good.
So we'll get you
All right,
a form
so-
for that.
All right, so our next item, do we want to move into the permit, or do we want to move up into the question and answers drop box on the banner on the website?
Now let's do the permit, would be my
We'll click
vote.
on. Okay.
What's
All right,
under
let's
your
work on
new
the permit.
business?
The Q&A.
New business,
Okay.
Q&A.
Yeah, okay. You want to do the
Shade Tree
permit
Ordinance
first? though?
Q&A.
Okay. I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's Trish wants to. I'm good with that. I
Okay.
mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, right? We need to, I mean, obviously, I think the Q&A, Shade Tree Ordinance Q&A would answer the questions whether you need a permit or not, but we can go out of order. It's pretty straightforward, right? But should we
It's too
put on there
complicated.
what, well, there are on there.
It's way too complicated.
It says it right on there, right? You think it's too complicated?
Yeah,
What, the permit?
yes.
Really?
It shouldn't have any of the thing about, didn't it have like you have to replace with other size trees, and it shouldn't have like steep slope, all that stuff on it. All this stuff at the bottom, none of that should be on there. It should just be, Springfield's is just straightforward, where it's located, property address, who's the contractor, and that's about it. And how many trees you're taking down is obviously you're pruning or removing. That's all it needs to be. It doesn't need all this other stuff.
Well, how do we let them know that if they take trees down, they got to replace them?
You don't. That's just because they don't know doesn't mean it's not there. When they go for the permit, they can be told.
Well, why wouldn't
but I think
you put it on the
on there
permit so they can see it?
Because I thought we were saying unless it's in the right of way. Correct? Like technically you don't need a permit unless you're going over, like we discussed, 3 30-inch like caliber trees or whatever, or diameter.
No, you need the permit. You just don't, it doesn't come before you.
Well, not for one tree, you don't. You don't need you don't need a permit for every single tree you're going to take down in the township. It's 6 or more. We
Yeah,
said
I see
3
that
or
up to
more
6.
30-inch, not,
Right.
Yeah, 3 or more 30-inch or 6 or more less than 30.
well, it's 12.
Yeah.
But 12-inch tree isn't very big.
Right, up to 6 trees or 20 inches after TBH. Does that sound right, what we talked about?
Yeah, I think that's,
Somewhere.
I think the tree size is a little small. 12 inches is a small tree.
Okay, but that would be a change in the ordinance. This is what the ordinance just says. That's all that this is doing. If we want to change the ordinance or want to make a recommendation to change the ordinance, we can do that.
Well, I thought that's what we were doing last time.
Well, we were starting to make a list of changes we want to make. But I can't, until the ordinance is changed, I have to follow what the ordinance says.
Yeah, and right now we're just trying to roll it out, right? So we can work on the changes later. So I'm in favor of leaving all that on there for now. It doesn't affect the contractor. Just gives you information.
Yeah, I think it's
Everybody else feel
helpful
that way?
personally. I mean, I think it makes a person think a little bit, and before they do that, and you know, they may not know the answer to those questions. And so when they come to the township, then they can work their way through it. I don't think it's that onerous.
On the part that you fill out, do you see any concern about the part you fill out?
Like who knows what the zoning district is when you go to fill this out? People don't know what the zoning district is. Is this a building? None of that really has to be done. It just has to be basic.
So
Like the top part's fine with the contract. You're basically what you're trying to do for the contractor is when someone's taking down a tree to make sure they have insurance, to make sure that the homeowner is covered, that if something, God forbid, tragically happens on their home site, that they're not going to get sued by someone working for the contractor who doesn't have the proper insurance. And obviously you want to know, like in Springfield, you're doing any tree, like Patricia said, 30 feet from the right of way or edge of street or whatever. That's where the major coverage is for it, you know, unless you're going into major, taking down every tree on the property. You know what I mean? If you take down 1 or 2 trees, you don't need a permit. But if you start taking down multiple trees, what you know, whatever we finally decide on is, you know, then you need a permit for like the rear yard or something like that. Or obviously building or whatever, if you're taking down trees for a building, that's part of the building project when you go in for
Last month, we worked on the policy. We had a motion actually, listing the conditions requiring a tree work permit. And it was any heritage tree, the removal of 6 or more trees of 20-inch DBH, and any land development plan. Those were the only 3 things on our, on that policy change that we made, that motion that we made.
but we
And
had
it would
old
be-
business as of 3 trees, 30 or more DBH.
I'm just saying it's a very complicated permit that like steep slope and stuff like that. I understand if it's a contractor doing a building development thing. But for the normal homeowner or contractor going in there, he wants to fill out a form that's basic, you know, where it is, where it's located, what it is, you know, and the contractor's name, and that's it.
Yeah, but this permit, is this, Steve, is this something that we made or is this like a stock permit?
No, we made it,
Like-
but I'm just looking here something.
All right, so if you made it, what's the point of the zoning district?
I'm not
What does
sure
that
what the point is. I don't know
signify?
why we put the zoning district. I'm not sure. I think that's important on this. I'm looking, I don't think there's anything in our tree ordinance that's an issue of the zoning district. I understand why we ask if the work's in the public right of way. I understand why we ask if the work is in the floodplain. I understand why we ask if the work is in steep or very steep slopes. because we have a disturbance of steep slopes that becomes. an
Understood.
issue
Makes
if that's
sense.
gonna be done.
Sure.
And then the other two, obviously, they're directly in the ordinance themselves, if this is land development or a building project. I get the question related to the zoning district. I'm not so sure why the zoning district needs to be on there. And I'm not so sure everybody knows their zoning district very easily. I mean, we have it on a map on the website. It's easy to find out. But the other questions, I understand why.
I mean, the area disturbed, I mean, you kind of got this in like with a, what's the top say? It says it's a grading and I mean, it's kind of like two permits into one.
Well, there's three.
I mean, why isn't there just a tree permit without the grading and demo? Why is it grading and
Well,
demo?
because there's actually a section in the ordinance that talks about grading and demo. That's why it's in there. Because it talks about if you're doing grading and demolition work.
And it may apply.
You can be doing grading
Right.
and demo and not doing tree work.
That is true. And you would have a separate ordinance for that purpose. But this is for tree work that's related to grading and demo. I'm not sure what annual is
get-
for. That's the one I'm not sure.
Right, so we've got some questions on it. So we circled the annual, the heritage tree grading demo. Yeah, okay, they could stay. Question the annual, what does that reference? Permit number, date issued, all that, that makes sense. All that makes sense. Everything down below that makes sense. Zoning district, that's something when you're filling it out, you probably just ask somebody at the township. If it's important. Maybe
Yeah,
it is, maybe it
I don't
isn't.
know why we have that on there, other than almost all of our permits have it, but I don't know why it's, in this case, I'm not sure why it's needed.
Why don't we just take it out? You can tell the zoning district
Well-
from the address.
I'll check to make sure there's not an in-house reason why we have it.
Uh-huh.
All right, let's confirm before we pull anything out.
But
We good? Everybody went quiet there.
So I have a question.
yep,
So how is, let's just say a homeowner is coming in for a permit, and how are we going to have instructions somewhere on how to and what tools are needed to determine the DBH?
I would argue that we might add that to the bottom section of the permit, just so that somebody understands how to determine that.
I think that would be helpful because I understand that most people will probably be hiring contractors to do that and they'll know how to do that. But I think to be inclusive that we need some level of instruction or at least link to some web page that explains how just a normal homeowner without, a forestry instruments can determine that.
No, I think that's,
Forestry is what, a tape measure?
Well, it's different. I mean, you just don't use a normal tape measure. I mean, right? I mean,
Yeah, you
that
don't.
was my understanding. I mean,
Inches are inches.
You can with more math added to it. If you divide by 3.14, you can use a regular tape measure.
right. So we have to have instructions on how to do that because just slapping a tape measure around it isn't how to determine DBH, is my understanding anyway. Unless
Right, that's circumference, not DBH. Unless we want to switch to circumference, that might make it easier. The
Not
other thing is
really.
also,
Sometimes it's hard.
also the public right of way is one of those
Hard.
little things that we talked about last time. And, but, just putting public right of way, people go, well, what is that? And we actually put it down as 30 feet or to the front of the house, whichever comes first.
yeah.
And that's another thing that's, that is, the homeowner's not going to know what that means without some definition.
okay.
So, but right now though, the ordinance says public right of way. I don't know if maybe in the instructions on that second page we can say, have a clarifier and say a 30 feet off the side of the road or the front yard, whichever, however Carol just worded it so plainly, and I messed up.
Well, I think we have to approve that first, don't we? Change the ordinance to.
We
make
did that last,
that-
we did that last time.
Well, we
But he has
agreed
to like
it. I just
advertise it, don't
think
you,
we're gonna
Steve?
have to.
Yeah, but I mean, I think what we could do is just say public right away, or, and I just think we have maybe just like a tip and say, if you don't know if you're in the public right away, then measure 30 feet off the edge of the road or
To
your
the front of the house.
So I've
whichever.
got, guys, I wrote notes. Guys, 30, right away, 30 feet from edge of street or curb
right.
pavement. And we approved it.
Right,
Or
but
to
that
the- or
doesn't
to the
change
front-
the ordinance, though. That doesn't officially change the ordinance. That has to go in front of the Board of Supervisors, right, Steve?
Yeah, I have to add that when we want to make changes.
Yeah, we made a motion, that was it.
Yeah, we were just collecting a whole bunch of things and then do them in all at once because he has to advertise it and everything like that to
Right.
change. Right, Steve?
Yep, that's exactly right.
Okay.
So for right now, just for this permit and approving of the permit, what I'm suggesting is just that we just add some instruction or just like a tip for applicants so that they understand how to determine if they don't know if it's in the public right of way.
Yeah, we're using that as the guideline for the public. to
Right.
use.
Yeah, the 30 feet.
Yep. Anything else on the permit?
I may, I should have brought this up somehow another way, but you have a policy called permit approval process
Yes.
that talks about these procedures. And I think somewhere in there, maybe in item 7, you should say something about the removal of trees. That you need a permit for that.
What page are you on?
Well, this is the new township policy title, Policy 2017-02,
Oh,
dated back January 26, 2017. And what it is, the title is Permit Approval Process. To establish a policy and procedure for the efficient processing of all building permit applications.
And you're saying section 7?
Something about trees.
Okay.
And I should have brought it up another way, and I,
No, that's perfect. It makes sense to bring it up with this.
So wait, where are we, guys?
This is a
It's on our website. It's a policy that the township has that for approving permits, but it doesn't have anything related to tree work that we need to go back and add. And so we'll do that.
Okay. Okay.
I should have brought it up. in
Hey, just so,
Everybody, but I didn't.
just so I'm
But it needs
not
to
missing
be-
something here. Trish, when you said 30 feet, are we good, John?
Yeah, we're good.
Hey, just so I'm aware, Trish, when you said 30 feet for the right of way, was that going to be in the answer to the following questions? Is that where you were saying put that?
I was saying that should be part of the instructions for the permit application, just as a tip for homeowners if they don't know,
Okay.
what
Got
the right of way is. It's a good rule of thumb.
I got it. I just want to make sure I write it. Yep. I got it. I just want to record it so I've got notes on it.
And then that's until we have an opportunity to change the ordinance officially to kind of better.
Right, and then we'll just
Describe.
change the permit to say that it's now, that's the definition,
Got it.
okay?
Yep. All right, let me just write that down. And we can move
Anything
on.
else
We don't have
related
to,
to the,
we're not gonna vote on any of this, right?
no, not tonight.
No.
No.
Are we going to add a list of heritage trees and a list of invasive species?
As
Well,
you-
no, we wouldn't list the heritage.
Well, I think we would just make a, probably someplace we'll create a heritage list on the website
Uh-huh.
of heritage trees as we get them. And then we'll just make that available on the website, and we'll just put the link on the back so that that's there if somebody wants to go see that. For ones that you've designated as heritage trees. And then as for the other tree, I'm sorry, I just went blank. There's another one. What's at the bottom of there besides heritage trees? Oh, the invasive species.
Invasives.
When you come up with your list of invasive species that we want to say we don't need, that can just be removed, and we want to do that, when you give us that list, we'll add that as well.
Okay,
And if, again, we'll probably do it as a link. That way, if you change it, I just have one place to change it.
yeah,
And make sure that we, sometimes if we do too many places, we forget to change things.
yeah. Well, we could also add the recommended trees can be in the same spot, and then the ones we don't like can be there too.
Yep. So I need to step off and attend a 7 o'clock meeting. I will be back. Nick is going to go ahead. I've given him the responsibility of being the host for the meeting. So if you
Okay.
need anything, he can do that. The only thing he doesn't have is my screen that is up on the screen. So that's the agenda where you are, that you're seeing right there. Do you want me to bring up the list of questions before I go?
Might as well.
I can share my screen, right?
If I stop sharing, you can share your screen. If you want me to do that, I'll stop sharing, and then we'll let you do that.
Sure.
Okay.
That works.
All right. I will probably be back unless you guys get through a lot quicker than I think you will. But in case I don't, thank you. And-
Try.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
All right.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, so are we ready to talk about the Q&A? And trust me, these are, oh my gosh, I have a lot of things open apparently. I just got to, oh, there it is. All right, can you see the questions?
Yes.
All right, awesome. And this is,
All right.
all right, so this is by no means a complete list. If I left some things kind of blank, so we could fill them in if you wanted to. Has everybody had a chance to take a look at these at all? It's
Yep.
okay to say no.
All right.
So I just kind of, built upon what we had talked about and brainstormed what some of the questions would be. And I added a couple of other things too. So I thought it would be good to add, why is a shade tree ordinance necessary? And I took this basically, a lot of these questions I tried to answer straight from the ordinance. So the township recognizes the vital role trees play in our community, ecosystem, and quality of life. The purpose of this ordinance is to protect and enhance our suburban forests while preserving the economic benefit trees provide. So I don't know if that is too wishy-washy or if that kind of gets the message across, but that's kind of what the purpose is stated in the in the ordinance.
Maybe we can combine the first and second questions answers together,
Sure.
and that way it'll be less questions, because why is the shade tree ordinance necessary and what is the purpose of the ordinance is almost redundant.
Mm-hmm.
But, I know there's differences, but I think, and we can probably just add the answer to the second question to the first answer. And I think that would work pretty well.
Okay.
And I'd also probably put in there something about beauty too. It's not just economic, but it's also the beauty it adds to the community.
You done?
Next meeting.
You preserving the,
Aesthetic. I don't know how to spell it.
spell what? Aesthetic.
Aesthetic. Yeah.
AESCE.
Oops.
I see.
AESTHETIC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go.
There you go.
So I'll
Aesthetic value.
fiddle with that.
That's one out for you.
What?
That thing, I left one out for you.
And I'll,
Take
because
off.
I'll fiddle with this, but it gets the point across. I'll refine it.
Yeah,
Okay.
that works.
Okay. Who needs a
It'll be a
permit?
drop-down menu, right?
Hmm?
That's like a drop-down question box on the website, right? Like we were talking about before.
Yeah, I mean, it could be
Yeah,
just a
perfect.
Q&A, it could be drop downs, it could be however the township wants to display it. I think that's fine.
Yep.
Now let's see, and who needs, so I also added, because Rob very, pointedly stated it's 6 trees or more. I think that's important to have in there.
Yep.
What about my 3 trees over 30 inches?
Oh, the heritage trees, or, well, that's what I put of a certain size. I figured I'd make people go and look. How do you want that worded?
6 trees or more are 3 trees of 30 inches or more. "30 inches diameter," I guess. What is it?
It has been diameter, but the homeowner might have trouble figuring that out.
What's 30 inches circumference? Or what's,
Divide by 3.14, that's like a 10-inch tree or smaller.
no, that's too small. I mean, I'm not trying to protect a 10-inch tree. What's the why don't we leave it as it is and I'll figure out.
Okay, 3, I'll just put,
Yeah. Yeah, well, 30 inches DBH. And we can convert it back to circumference if that's what we decide to do. Does that work for you, Tom and Bob?
I mean, let me finish typing. Let me look at it. I was writing notes here.
Oh, okay.
There are 6 trees or more, 3 or 3.
in other words, go read the
That
order.
sounds good. Yeah. That sounds good.
Okay, all right.
Maybe, Trish, also under who needs a tree permit? when it says we recommend contacting the Township Building Department,
Mhm.
Township Building Department, for assistance, maybe we could say for clarification.
Who do I contact? This one?
No, the next one up. Instead of up, not down, up, yeah. At the end of there, the last word. Instead of
Oh.
assistance for clarification, because maybe they don't, maybe they just need it to be clarified rather than
Sure.
assist. I don't know.
Or for questions.
Yeah, maybe questions is a good idea. Questions might be better.
And should we call it who needs a tree removal permit as opposed to a tree permit? It sounds like you want to plant one.
Yes.
Yeah, Township Building Commission. Is there such a officially named outfit?
At the township.
Yeah,
I think it's just call Andy. I don't know.
I think it's the Public Works Department,
Is that what it is?
like the road crew. Yeah, I think so.
And yet, Trish up top too, who needs a tree removal permit? The third question down
Uh-huh.
instead of a tree permit.
Yep.
Oh, you were doing public works.
And then same thing,
Trish.
how much does a tree removal permit cost?
So
Better do
Nick,
10
is
different
it?
things.
I'm sorry.
Well, I was just about to say it's more so. I think it's going to be falls up the. I think it's going to fall more so under the codes department rather than public works, because that's what Andy handles, and Kathy helped out with this permit.
Okay.
yeah, so it's capital C code.
Mhm.
So I figure put either the extension or whatever, right?
Code enforcement is how they've got it named.
When we were talking about the trees, there were certain trees that would have to come to us for approval. And there was other things that were smaller that were going to be handled by Public Works as far as, that's what I understand from last month.
So, but this is outreach for the community. If
Sure.
you're going to reach out to the township and then someone there will tell them what they need to do and they'll route the permit the right way, either
Yeah.
to us.
Then we could just say, contact the Township Building.
Yeah, well, you need to go a little bit more than that. Who's going to be, who do they submit these permits to?
Code enforcement,
Then I would leave the code enforcement department.
yeah.
Okay, so the next one down, how much does a tree permit cost? Should we put there at this time, there is no cost? Because didn't we say maybe there may be a nominal fee later?
Yeah.
Or there is no cost at this, at this time. Yeah.
How long does it take to get a tree permit?
I have
Well,
Are
I would
you,
say less
are you
than a
going
year.
through the part USPS or are you going to get it
Yeah.
UPS or you're going to
Up
pick
to
it up
60
yourself?
days.
Who's doing
Oh,
the
it's less
delivery?
than that. It's 30 days, I think.
Whenever we have a meeting. Actually, it's 45 if it's not approved by us. Isn't it?
It's in the ordinance.
Yeah,
I
it's in
think
the
after
order.
45 days, it's automatic,
I'll look
right?
it up.
Google it, just put Google it. Maybe we don't even need that question. That is, I don't understand the purpose of that question.
Because people are going to want to know if it's worth their, because some people will be like, well, if it doesn't take me a long time and it's not that big of a hassle, then I'll do it. You know, I'm just trying to see it's not that onerous as it sounds. But if we need it, if we don't need it, that's fine too. Won't hurt my feelings.
Well, I don't understand. I mean, how long does it take to get a tree permit? Depends on where they're going and picking it up. I mean, do you mean, how long does it take to get the permit approved? Is that what you're asking?
Yes, that's probably better.
I'm not, yeah, okay.
I was just going through some of the questions that I had in my head. Like when I went in for a building permit, I'm like, how long is it going to take me? I want to do my project. How long is this process going to take? And I think it is just something that people typically wonder, but it's not a big deal. Anybody else have strong feelings either one way or the other? Keep it, delete it?
I don't think it hurts to keep it.
Yeah, I think it's.
Somebody
helpful.
may have that question. It's just a drop down box.
Right. And then, so this even, so I added this one just because it came up in our conversations during our meetings. You know, it's a, do I need a permit even if the tree is dead? I'm certain that people are going to ask that.
Yes.
Yes, right.
Yeah, because you want the contractor taking it down to have insurance. That's the main purpose.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I just, because they talk about in the ordinance, street tree is used a lot. So I felt we needed to define that.
Why is it excluding state highways?
Oh, it's in the ordinance.
It is? So your property, because you live on Gradyville Road, it doesn't cover it under like the ordinance?
Oh,
The-
awesome.
We can cut down that oak tomorrow then.
Damn, all right. All right.
As long
Firewood.
as you do, as long as you do it for free, Rob.
Is Gradyville Road's not a state highway though, is it?
It's something.
Gradyville Road's a state highway.
What's that? It is?
Yes. Bishop Hall Road, Gradyville Road.
Wow.
That's why the bridge was out for 4 years.
Okay.
That was
Good
because
to
of
know.
the dang U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. That's why.
Yeah, I don't think we should make that distinction. It's still any tree that's being cut down or planted, or whatever is on township property. The road itself is
So delete it?
doesn't make any difference, I don't think.
I don't know, people are gonna want to know what a street tree is, I'm sure.
Well, it's still a tree on
Question.
Newtown Township property. Well, I don't know. Well, I guess that's a question. How far, if Gradyville Road is a state road, how far does their right of way extend?
30 feet from the curb, right? Or the pavement.
No, it's not their
Right.
right of way, it's our right of way.
This is why
Can we-
using a right-of-way distinction is so bad.
Like George Sherrod said last meeting, the township has, just because the right of way doesn't mean the street goes through the center of the right of way. You know what I'm saying? It can be on one side or the other. You know what I mean? Yours may be further on yours, so it meanders through the thing.
Yeah, and I
You know, it
mean,
could be on the edge of the right of way or in the very beginning, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so for instance, like the white line of Gradyville Road is like right at the edge of my driveway. I mean, honestly, they practically painted the oak tree with their little white line. But then on the other side, you can park a car on the other side. It's much wider over there. So that would be different. So I don't know. I just use the definition that was in the ordinance. So that's what it says. I mean, we can,
We can ask Steve.
why
yeah.
don't we take out the excluding
Put a
state?
question mark next to it.
Because we still don't want people cutting down trees, even if it's on Gradyville Road,
You could,
for the hell of it.
Right.
well, I thought we were doing the 30 feet
Yeah, we
from
are.
like the edge of the property.
Right,
What
but the
in-
way she's written
What is a
this,
street tree?
it is-
So the right of way or 30 feet. Correct?
right.
The right of way
Not-
is 30 feet.
It
No,
doesn't matter. It's 30 feet, even if the right of way is more.
yeah,
I mean, the state could have a 100-foot right of way. You don't know what they have. You know what I mean?
yeah. But we just wanted 30 feet from the edge of the road.
Right. So it's either the right of way or 30 feet.
Yeah, I feel like for the sake of this, we probably don't need to mention state highways.
Right.
But she
Alright.
says it's in the ordinance already. That's why she put it down.
It is, but how about if we make a note of that? Tom, can you make a note of that? And I think it's in the definitions section. Right. Street tree. It's on page 5 of 19.
Page 5.
Yep.
Right of way, street tree, any tree within the right of way on the public streets and highways in the township excluding state highways. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty broad.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're saying for the purpose of this, we should be taking out this excluding the take highways or the
Right.
state.
Because it says regardless, the abutting property owner has a responsibility for maintaining it.
Right. So I'm fine with, let's just take that out.
Yeah,
Okay.
Right. If this is changes, right? What, we're gonna
I'm
change it?
suggesting to Tom that because I'm assuming that on an upcoming agenda, we're going to go through all the proposed changes to the ordinance. And I'm just suggesting that this might be one we either discuss or provide more clarification on what that means.
Yeah,
Because,
we'll move
right,
with old business. We'll
right.
talk about it.
Okay. All right. So,
So you're not putting a 30 feet thing in there, Trish? Right away or 30 feet? This is for changes, right? Changes we're gonna make to the ordinance?
no, this is for the Q&A. I mean, if you want the change, if you want Tom to record for the old business on the ordinance, because that's what we're going to do is change some of that to make it all consistent throughout instead of using right away. But for right now, the way that the ordinance reads, it still says right away. So,
yeah. Could we just, rather than make it even more, could we just say any tree within 30 feet of the edge of the road?
Yeah, but are we allowed to change the ordinance like that? I mean, this is still going to be, what is a street tree? It should be really what the
Well,
ordinance is,
well,
and let
30
them
feet.
else figure it out.
He's agreed to change the thing to 30 feet because it's old business. We have
right.
to change the ordinance.
that's why
anyway to
Table
say
it
30
for,
feet, 'cause
Right,
otherwise
but he's
people
gonna make a
say-
list of things because it has to go. He has to advertise and it has to go in front of the Board of Supervisors to get changed. They have to approve it.
Right.
Yeah.
So what I'm
Right.
saying for the purpose of
So-
this
so we're gonna-
Q&A, for the purpose of this Q&A right now, I would rather stick to the letter of how it's defined in the ordinance right now.
Agreed.
Correct.
And then we
Agreed.
can change
I
it
agree with
later.
that.
The Q&A
Yes,
is something that's
agree.
going to be on our
Website.
our Shade Tree webpage connected to the township page. So this is sort
Right,
of
and
an
it should read
informational
as
page
the
for,
township dates.
yeah.
We can't come up with our own.
Not now, not yet.
Agreed.
All right.
So
So,
we'll do. So we'll move I think, Trish, let's go through all these. Then move this whole document to old business. You'll give you a chance to update it, and then we can approve it at the next meeting and submit it to the township and let them add it to the website however they want to do it on Dropbox,
sounds good.
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And it'll be
Okay.
a living document and we can add to it and change it as things are updated.
Sure, absolutely.
So
At least
I
this
did
gets
the
us up and
same,
running.
Right. So I did the same thing with heritage tree. I just copied and pasted it from the ordinance.
It
Great, yeah,
needs
we
a-
can always change it up later.
Yeah, it's 36 inch at, DBH, which is 4.5 feet basically. Or there's a thing, the other codicil is, or if it has a specific, it could be of a different size, it could be smaller, if it has a specific historical significance.
Oh, yeah.
If George Washington under it or something.
Like a memorial tree for somebody or something.
Has a or if it is
Of historical significance
Yeah.
or historically significant. That works too.
Yeah.
okay.
Are rare. Could we add are rare? It's in the thing. I kind of like that.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Alrighty. I wasn't sure. I was going to put contact Carol, but I didn't think that was.
Oh, I was thinking Pat.
All right.
Well, they could contact the Shade Tree Commission or contact the township, and the township would direct them to us.
So would it be same thing, code enforcement? Because they're the kind of the keeper. So I guess I'd ask Nick. So who's kind of like the keeper, the overseer of the Shade Tree Ordinance? Would that be the code enforcement?
Well, I guess the codes enforcement would handle the permits necessarily, but if somebody has just like a question about something or needs to be kind of steered in the right direction or needs to get in touch with you guys, they can contact me then.
Okay.
Okay.
But if it's any question that's directly relating to like the permit or the ordinance or something like that, it would be codes.
Mm-hmm.
So Trish, on your end too, the questions we have for Steve, if you talk to him directly and finalize those two items, what is a street tree, what is a heritage tree? So at our next meeting, this will all be done.
Yeah.
And we can approve it,
All right.
right? Because that way, if we don't, then we're gonna have to talk to Steve, then it'll be another meeting. It'll be 2 months away.
Right.
Yeah, instead, on your very last one, is there any list of well, it's not your last one. Is there a list of trees that I should plant? Why don't we say, is there a list of trees the township recommends?
Okay.
It's friendly.
And then I figured we'll have a list and insert the link.
Yeah, I actually was working on a list and then it ran out of time.
Right. Okay. And then I think this is sort of redundant. Do I need a permit to remove any tree in my yard? I think we sort of answered that from the top. At the top. Do you think that's kind of redundant?
There'd be no
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah. And you know, I'm sure there are questions that'll come up that people will ask, and we can always add them.
Right. Okay.
When in doubt, contact the township.
Right. So, and then I thought some of these, it's just like, what is DBH? And then just here's where maybe some of the tips and that we could provide on how to measure a tree.
Yeah,
And
like use a tape measure.
Yeah. Is there somebody, will there be someone from the township that comes out? I'm like, I don't know how to measure my tree. If you want to, will they come out, or is it the homeowner's responsibility to do that? Or will someone from the township come out? I could see that being a real.
Well, didn't they hire an arborist?
Yeah.
Thought it was you.
Wasn't me.
Do you like these questions, or do you think we should?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I like them.
Yeah, I love them.
I like them.
Well, I mean, these
They're
last,
great.
should we include these two?
Yeah, I would. Why not? Because they may want to,
Sure.
they may want for their own interest.
All right.
All three of those are great questions.
Okay. So, well, let me ask you, Nick,
Yeah.
will someone come out to measure the tree for a homeowner, or is that their responsibility?
Well, I was just thinking about that. I can't speak for whether anybody in codes department has any time throughout their day to come out and measure trees, but I feel like if we're providing some information to the homeowner, like those instructions that we were going to provide to see like how to measure your tree, or because weren't we talking about that to
Yep.
provide some kind of instruction to the normal homeowner? So I think if we're providing that, they should be able to figure it out.
Okay.
I don't think I personally, from hearing how busy they are, I don't think they'll want to go out and measure a bunch of trees if they don't have to.
Yeah,
Good,
why
but
don't-
they wanna
Are we
hide.
supposed to do that?
your,
though?
your arborist will do it for you, or you can do this.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be pretty simple to explain. Just take the circumference and divide it by 3.14.
Circumference is hard though for some trees, for someone to get something around them. Like Trish, you would never been able to do that by yourself. Right?
Well, it's a perfect
If you
time to
wanted to
make a
measure
friend
that.
and get someone to help you measure your tree.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Gets me out of the
And
house on a weekend.
But you know, if you do circumference too and divide it by 3.14, that's
Hey,
it.
Depends on how
Tom.
many you get, I'll do it.
Hey, Tom,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
it's too big to get around by yourself, it's a heritage tree.
yeah.
Yeah. Stick to it.
If it takes three
I'm
people to
just
get
thinking
around the
of
tree,
my
it's a
customer base, they don't even
heritage tree.
change light bulbs. Right.
Yeah, if you can't get your arms around it, it's a heritage tree.
Pretty much.
That
Well,
works.
three people.
Yeah,
All right. Are
Hey,
there,
My customer base doesn't change light bulbs.
well, John, did
we'll
you
see.
have any
So-
other questions that you wanted to add, or does anybody else have any? I mean, so instead of belaboring it right now, how about, because you guys can send, I think it's okay if you send me, as long as there's not back and forth, just send me your questions, and preferably with an answer,
with the response.
the answer that you want to hear, see? And then I can add it to the list.
Okay, yeah,
All right, so you have homework, people.
yeah. And you're
Yeah.
gonna send us each a copy of this?
Thanks, Mom.
Do you want me to send, I'll clean it up and I can send it out one way to everybody. Just don't reply all.
Right,
Right. And we can't make any decisions on it, right? So,
right.
but why don't you just send it to Steve and you guys, you review it? Right? That way, our next meeting, it's done and we can just go review them real quick and approve it and we're done.
Okay. Well,
Right?
did you?
Because I'm
wanna
not going to
add
add any
it?
questions to that. That's a great start.
Okay. All right, we'll do that.
I mean, outside of what we discussed with Steve, the questions we have for Steve, everything's fine. You know, it's a quick start. It works. We can roll it out and finalize it at the next meeting, and then we can adjust it as questions come in.
Okay.
That's the way I look at it, as because this could drag on for months if we don't finalize it. You know,
Yeah,
when's
I
our
mean,
next meeting?
it's next month.
3/11. Okay, so that way it wouldn't get out until May.
Right. So that's why I'm just
Right.
saying, if you don't have questions to add, then don't worry about it. You don't have to review it. Just send me your questions with a response. I'll add it to this list, send it to Steve, get clarification on those things, and then we'll add it to the agenda for the 11th.
Exactly. And that way it can go out and be done by the 13th. It's already up and running. We may have some people looking at it and asking questions already.
Right. Because we'll have the
Right.
permit and then we'll have the Q&A.
Yep.
And I'll put
Right.
myself on the spot and say that I will send a list of my recommended trees to everybody. You guys can add, which are primarily based on being native species. and maybe a few invasive species in the next week.
So
for
that,
you to look at. Does that work for you, Carol?
I think one of the things from last meeting was we were all supposed to come up with a list of trees and send them to Steve, and he was gonna, collaborate them or something. Yeah, I've been working on tree lists, so.
Yeah,
Oh, I've been working on tree
primarily
lists
native.
over the
native
last couple
trees, so,
days, so.
Yeah. Okay, well, we can go back and forth on that.
so, but the, so are we ready to go to old business then?
Yes, that's why I was just taking notes, but that's what I was gonna suggest. Is there any old business on there? Which there is. Let's see, old business. So wait, we have to, hang on a minute. We have to,
Discussion related to compliance.
we don't take any
issues.
motions to complete this topic because we're not really moving on anything tonight,
No, you guys will be,
right?
I guess will be voting on it next meeting when we finalize the two
Yeah,
lists.
right, yeah, so right, so we can move on to old business.
Mhm.
And what is old business? What do we got there?
Discussion related to compliance issues.
Are we ready to actually talk about changes to the ordinance? Because I think we have a pretty long list.
Right, now without Steve,
Right,
Yeah,
right, that's over above our pay grade.
right.
Yeah, Steve's definitely a little bit more knowledgeable about the ordinance than me.
Right, so we can go ahead and we can table that to the next meeting,
Mm-hmm.
just push it forward.
Okay, and then we already talked about the tree permit, then it would be talking about the list of approved trees.
We just discussed that, we're gonna work on that for the next meeting, right?
Well,
Mhm.
As
did
part of your drop down list?
not me.
no,
This
I said I'd do it.
Something, well, this is,
No, I'd send
No, we're
I'd
gonna-
send a list out and you guys look at it.
Yeah, John's gonna come up with a list. I think Carol, you're gonna come up with a list, right? And we'll just
Mhm.
look at it.
Yeah. Well, maybe you and I could talk, Carol,
We
Are
can do
you-
that.
late at night,
I start work at 6:30. I get up at 5, so you better make it early in the evening.
Remember, there's a 2-hour time difference for me, so 5 for you would be 3 for me.
Oh, geez. Let me see if I can.
On the other hand, it's 70 degrees and sunny here.
Oh, shut up. Well, it was 50 and sunny here today, but Thursday we're getting another 7 inches of snow.
Mm,
What they say.
So they say.
All right, so that's pretty much it, right?
Yeah,
Am I missing
So
anything?
are you all wanting to finalize the Q&A list and the approved trees list next meeting?
Yes.
Sure.
I think,
I mean, I've got a long list of trees, but I'm going to, if you give people too many choices, they're going to go bonkers. And they're going to
Right.
get too confused. So I'm going to keep it short and sweet.
yeah, I
Right.
just don't want everybody planting trees of heaven or something.
Right. I mean, if you came up with a list of a dozen trees,
Hey, that way you
You
know
know,
where to look for the lantern fly.
that's fun. There you go. All right,
Is
so
our list gonna have pictures?
I could, ugh.
I think we should,
Pictures of what?
the trees.
That makes a long,
township can incorporate them in.
I know, but I mean, remember, this is an outreach document for the public. And, people are aren't gonna know what Quercus, whatever is.
Agreed. That's a good call.
They can-
Click on it. and
If
it
they can
shows
find,
up.
if they can find a tree list on the township website, they can Google the tree name.
yes.
I know that, but again, we're trying to make it easy. We want people to comply. We're making it harder by making them go and search. And I think if we provide them with, I mean, if our list isn't too onerous, then, I mean, I don't know, how many trees do you already have, Carol?
Pages and pages and pages. But no, I've got to whittle it down severely.
Remember,
I'll get it. I'll make you approve it before I submit it.
it's mostly American trees, native
Yes.
trees.
Yeah. There will
So,
be,
Yeah,
yeah,
and I agree with
you gotta
you.
have, you can have some non-native trees, but it will say whether they're native or not.
okay,
It's a great idea to have a
And
link between the
what they're-
picture. It
what
just makes
they're-
it quick and easy as well.
What their outstanding feature is, you know, whether it's good fall color, whether it's fragrance, whether it's flowers, whether it's, you know, and according to height, you know, a big tree, a medium tree, a small tree. I mean, you have to have different categories.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right, if you had like a dozen on each.
Yeah, as long as it all fits
Yeah,
on one sheet
that
of
works.
paper.
As long as I don't crash the web,
All
we're
right.
good.
Yeah. I can talk to Steve about it, but I'll most likely be the one adding this information to the website. So if you guys want to do like a more consolidated list, hopefully not 200 things I would have to add to a whole shade tree page, but we could definitely do like the name and then a picture underneath or any kind of identifying characteristics, just so it's easy for a community member to read and see like, oh yeah, I have that tree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's links out there, Nick, that can take you right to that, a picture and a description.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If they're taking trees down and they're forced to put more up, they don't care what it is. Trust me.
Yeah,
They're just pissed that they took trees down and they have to replace them.
yeah. What's the cheapest trees I can get? What's the cheapest trees you can get me, Bob?
Norway maples and
No,
Tree of Heaven.
yeah.
So look,
And you-
part of our responsibility here is to help to educate, right? And to grow an appreciation for trees. So
Right.
let's make it easy. Yes, there's going to be some jaded people that are going to look at it that way, but let's look at this as an opportunity to educate and say, look at how pretty trees are. Of course you want this pretty tree and it's native and it provides this habitat benefit.
and
Blah, blah,
we could always use more sassafras trees in Newtown Square and
Sure.
more pawpaws and,
They're beautiful. I love sassafras.
I know.
I
They
have
are,
two.
but nobody plants them.
I love
I
them.
know.
You don't even grow them. You can't even get them. I
Well,
can't get
that's a
them.
problem. yes.
Yeah.
Well, and that's another thing to keep in mind too, is the availability. People are going to want to know, well, where the heck do I get these? So I don't, and maybe that's a discussion for another day, because, you know, we don't want to be promoting one business over another.
True.
But so how would we thread that needle might be, because that's going to be the next question is, well, where do I get these and how much does it cost?
Well, Bob and Tom can help us with that.
You can put the link to a
Last year,
couple
you couldn't
of
get
nurseries in our
trees.
What?
It was hard to get trees last year.
Yeah, well, everybody was planting them.
No, it was
No?
because of the pandemic. No one was shipping off the West
Oh.
Coast.
Oh. Hmm.
Well, we could say something like looking at 3 different places and then take like an average price from those 3 places and tell people, oh, there's 3 places you can go. The average price for this certain tree was so and so much. So then we're not identifying anybody specific.
Yeah.
Well, we might
everyone
only
has-
be,
As far as
we
that,
might only be able to recommend like anybody within the township, which might limit it to Mastardies.
yeah, who are
Right,
not
and I wouldn't even,
full cross spread
wouldn't price.
at retail.
Mhm.
Well, he don't have any
I
large
wouldn't
shade trees
even
anyway,
mention price.
really.
He doesn't have any trees anyway. Yeah, you're
No.
right. So I think we just recommend trees, and if they're,
Yep, trees and
People-
pictures, let them find it from there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine.
right.
All
But
right,
when we meet with them, we slip a card under the table to them that says Redbud Nursery.
all right, are we good?
We're good.
All
Be in
right,
touch.
motion to adjourn?
Yikes.
All in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Aye.
I didn't
Wait
hear
a
you
minute,
guys. What'd
who's
you say?
seconded who?
We're all hesitant. What's that? You need that, you Trish, or Carol, you need info?
Let me see. Tom, you motioned, who seconded? Tricia must have seconded. We'll give it to Trish.
Yeah.
Trish second. Okay.
And Carol, I have notes if you need them, which I'm sure you got plenty.
I'm the secretary. I can take my own minutes.
I
And
know,
then
you
give,
said
and
it.
then give them to Nick in some form that he can't understand. I don't know what see, now you know why the minutes are so haphazard. Look at what the meeting is like.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to get the motions all good.
But we only had two, and that was to start the meeting and end the meeting. So that was easy.
Yeah, not too bad.
It's an informational meeting today.
Yes.
Yes.
We'll have more next time.
Oh,
Yes.
joy.
A lot of
All right.
good discussion.
Can't wait.
Good. Okay. All right, guys.
All right, great.
Good
All
night.
right.
Thank you.
Nice,
Have a good one.
nice to meet you, Nick.
Yeah, nice to meet you, Nick.
Yep. See you, Nick.
Bye.
See ya. Stay safe in the snow.
Yeah, you too.
Bye.
Bye.
Fun.
Yes.